Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing? This is your man, Rondell Jordan, aka the Black Swan. I'm here with another episode of the Worldview with a special topic. Today, I'm going to be proving that the tower builders, right in Genesis 11, are the Kemetic people, black people. Not to be racist, but to so that we know our history, and then we can prove our history, just in case it is ever asked. Okay, so right here we see in Genesis 10, prefacing the story of the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11, we see that the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. All right, now these are nations, right? The sons of Ham, Cush is a nation of people of southern Nubian. You see the southern part of ancient Nubia, first mentioned in Egyptian records of the Middle Kingdom in the Bible. It is the country of the descendants of Cush. So this Cush represents the descendants of the Nubian people, which are now of Ethiopia. Mizraim is the Hebrew or Aramaic name for the land of Egypt. Okay, all right. Put is the Libya. It's the region of Libya, and Canaan is the biblical name for the area of the ancient Palestinians west of the Jordan River. Keep in mind, it's the promised land, the gift to the Israelites who conquered and occupied it during the later parts of the second millennium BC. So it's 2,000 years before Christ. These are a people as distinguished from the people who converted to Judaism in the 300s, in the year 300 century, basically Anno Domini, right? These people, with all full right, the king converted his kingdom to Judaism, as you can see right here. It's not widely noted or spoken about. To its right wing, you will see it is the conversion of Christianity, and to the left, you will see the spread of Islam down into what we are now seeing is here, right here, between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, the spread down into these regions, right down into this region. This is what would be this would be Mesopotamia here, as the story of Abram coming up into the land of Canaan. Why Canaan? If you look at the map, you will notice that Africa, if this thing, listen to me, Africa is completely surrounded by water. It's called the Great Sea. So these two seas was one body of water, as you can see. One body of water called the Great Sea, right? And in the midst of it, 100-mile radius, it's not 100 miles wide. As you can see, this is 200 miles here. Half of that is this land bridge right here. The only land bridge where God divided the seas, where there is an exodus possible across on foot. That was until they built the Suez Canal to divide Africa, cut off Africa from the rest of the world. Why you want to control this land? Because in the ancient world, this right here was the financial center of the ancient world. The Mediterranean Sea deads there, the Red Sea deads there, the Nile River flows there. The land bridge go in and out of Africa into Europe, into Arabia, and into Asia, all through this. So Africans are actually being cut off and kicked out of this region right now today, and this is the region which has now been turned into the modern day slave market as a result of the ousting of Gaddafi, who actually converted Libya into one of the most successful countries in the world, actually in Africa at least. All right, but you see the condensing of nations over here, creating a rapid evolution, right? And what actually eventually happened is that they needed a garden to be able to grow crops like cocaine, cotton, sugar, coffee, wood, right? Lumber, you name it, cattle, any type of livestock that you know, these are all being shipped over here to the Catholic territories within the Western Europe. Okay, so most notably the English, the Spanish, the Latin, the French, and who else? Who am I missing? The Spanish, the French, the English, um, the Portuguese, right here, Portugal. Okay, so with that said, let's get to it because this is supposed to be quick. All right, so we have established that the sons of Ham were Cush, Ethiopia, Mizraim, Egypt, Put, Libya, and Canaan. All right, which is Israel, what we now call Israel, Palestine. All right, it go further. The sons of Cush was Sheba, Havilah, Sabata, Rama. The sons of Rama was Sheba and Dedan. Sheba and Dedan. This is why Ethiopia hasn't been conquered. The Rastafari, Haile Selassie. All right, so Cush begot Nimrod. He begot the mighty one of the earth. Now, Nimrod was the uncle of, you know what I'm saying, the nephew of Canaan. If you notice that Cush and Canaan were brothers. All right, and Cush begot Nimrod. Okay, all right, so we keep that in mind. But let's go scroll down here where it says the families of the Canaanites were dispersed. So the disperse is where we're talking about here, right? Spread over a wide area, okay? A diaspora, that's the root word of diaspora. So we're talking about the families of the Canaanites, right? The sons of Ham. So now let's get into the story. All right, now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east. All right, from the east. They journeyed from the east, all right, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, come, let us make brick and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asked for martyr, and they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in heaven. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. So they said, let us build ourselves a city and a tower. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. We built pyramids all over the world. Right. Right. So let's see here. Where do we have the pyramids at? So we built pyramids all over the world. Right. Now let's go look at this here. I was notice these statues real quick while we're on this page. The noses are blown off. Not only are the noses blown off, but the serpent was blown off as well, because the serpent is actually the source of knowledge of ourselves, the source of consciousness, the source of wisdoms. The Ankh is one of the things that was held in our hand. As you can see, the serpent right here, the cobra, right? But it's blown off as a cover-up. But this aspect is being copied by the Pope. Pope wear those type of headdress even to this day. All of these things are often mimic, but you notice the serpent is being a staple part of the African concept of divine principles. All right, so let's get to the pyramids, right? So pyramids being surrounded by cities, all right, and being filled with knowledge, information about themselves. So this is talking about family, right? Man, woman, and child, the cycle of life, both being adorned by the light, the rays of the sun, both the consciousness of the man and the woman. Nefertiti was right there with them. So this is the cycle of life. This is Akhenaten, who monetized the faith, right? They built the pyramids in alignment with the Orion constellations. So all of this stuff is provable facts and evidence. But the most important that we notice is the nature of these people. If they did not have their skin pigmentation as it is, we would be told that these people were either aliens, or as you can see right now, they would have completely whitened the images as we see that's going on. But the walls were completely full of information, knowledge, so that we know the origins of our history and our ancestry. All right. So I'm just establishing that the towers are the pyramids, and the tower builders, the city builders, are the people who built them towers. Now, look, if they here, they journey from the east, and they build pyramids, right? You see what I'm saying? Whoever is building journey from the east is building pyramids, and these people are of the same complexion of the Egyptians. All right, so let's get back to the story, okay? So they're building because they said, "Let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in heaven. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." That's a diaspora, all right? So who do you know who has been scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth? But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men, these are the natives, right, as opposed to sons of Jacob, had built. And the Lord said, the master, right, this is not a God. The God is not a definition of the Lord. It is the master, ruler, leader, the chief, the superior, the monarch, sovereign, king, emperor, prince, governor, commanders, someone who's in charge of the superior or having power, all right, said, "Indeed, the people are one and all have one language." This is to confirm that unity is the problem in this story. And this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. You see that for your own self, that the reason why these people were being sabotaged or are going to be sabotaged is because they are united, and nothing that they propose to do would be withheld from them. Okay, this is not the story that is being told to us. We're being told that these people were being warned by God to stop building into their tower in the skies because they would never reach heaven. And Nimrod was disobedient. He was determined to reach heaven, and God had to strike him down with a curse. So come on, let's see what the rest of the story says. It says, "Come, let us," this means it's allegiance. He is heading allegiance of people who think they're more superior. "Let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the earth. The end. The end of that story, of course, you go from there to the story of Abram. So we go from Noah to Abram after that story. Abram will then get the promise. He will then inherit the lands of Canaan, as I say, because Canaan is cursed, because he is the African. But all the Africans are actually, if you look at here, in the curse here, cursed be Canaan, okay, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brethren. And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be a servant. May God enlarge Josepheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be a servant." So that's why we said these are the Canaan, taken out of their land, right, and scattered abroad to what? To enlarge, to work the land of Shem, in which Josepheth is dwelling in the tents of Shem, in the lands of Shem, to enlarge Josepheth. And we are servants of both Josepheth and the native slaves. So all of that stuff, Christopher Columbus, he wrote his book of prophecies with his vision statement in 1500s, between 1501 and 1505, which is 100 years before the 1611 King James Version. He wrote that Christianity must be spread throughout the world. The last crusade must take back the Holy Land from the Muslims, and that Christians, that when Christ come, he will come back to a place he lived and died. And most importantly, what we're discussing here, the Garden of Eden must be found, which means to establish, originate an institution or organization, especially by providing endowment. Endowment, as like I said, the last world emperor must be chosen. Columbus had chosen, at least in his mind, that the Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella would fulfill this position to the vast imperial power and religious conviction to the Spanish, the Spanish monarch claim, which was the Catholic monarchs, right? The Roman Catholicism. This is the link between Judaism and the Garden of Eden, which is the new world that Christopher Columbus founded, specifically talking about in the Book of Prophecies that he published in the early 1500s. So we see that Josepheth has been enlarged. He dwells in the tents of Shem. And Shem is the natives here. And they are all related. We were all related in some shape or form. This is all taking place because Noah, who began to be a farmer, planted a vineyard. He drank and wine and was drunk and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, notice that they're going to establish that, saw the nakedness, which is the issue since Genesis 2 with Adam and Eve, of his father, and told his brother outside. But Shem and Josepheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Again, nakedness is used all this time to let you know that that's the, this has been done by design. That ignorance, innocence, ignorance, innocence is the issue. Okay, nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. Ignorance. So Noah woke from his wine and knew knowledge what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, which simply all he did was seen him and saw, and then told his father. So don't let anybody tell you that he had mocked him or mutilated or anything other than that. That is unbelievable how people take these things out of context. But it is all written simply just to establish that Canaan is to be cursed, to be a servant of servant. And Canaan is following the legacy of Cain, who was also kicked out and made a vagabond. And, it's very important, that he was set up because he was disrespected, right? The Lord respected Abel's offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. Why? Because Abel brought the firstborn of his flock and their fat. It was a blood sacrifice, right? Because the God can hear the voices, and that's the reason why the voice of your the voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, right? Which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hands. This is where the ritual of communion, where they drink the wine, because Christ turned water into wine, and then wine into the symbolic of his blood, as opposed to Moses, who turned the water of Egypt into blood. All right, so it says, when you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you, a fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. So it's all related to the story is just demonizing the Canaanite people, the African people, right? The people of the nostril, the people of the dust, right? Who was formed as opposed to the serpent, right? The people of the cobra. All right. Obviously, it's not talking about a snake because we're talking about heads and heels, right? All right. Between a seed, right? Enmity between the man and the woman, right? People who were cursed more than the cattle. Cattle simply being a field animal of burden, beast of burden, the remnant animal horns, cloven feet, domesticated for meat and milk, for their bodies and their produce, what they produce. The beast, to confirm that, more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, right? So the way we went, the way we got here was through our bellies and on our backs. They had to be rotated. Otherwise you would get bed sores, all right? So, and you shall eat dust, which is just the waste matter, dirt, grime, filth, smut. In more specific terms, chitlins, oxtail, pig feet, pig nose, pig ears, the things that you throw away underground, right? I will put enmity between you and the woman. So this is the reason why that we see, man, and I believe I had the statistic up here and now I don't see it. But over 70% of our women are single mothers now, right? Close to 80%. I think it's like 78%, right? So, and between your seed and her seed, he should bruise your head. So he's going to control, he's going to be emotional, mentally abusive to you. And you shall bruise his heel, meaning that you are going to make a strong man pretty much worthless. He's going to be pretty much dealing with drama, putting out fires instead of being able to build, multiply, and grow. So the enmity, it's going to be, child support, domestic violence, all of that kind of stuff. And that's what we see plaguing our communities. All right. And then he changed the way that we perceive life into a sorrow where women don't want to be pregnant and they try to hide the pain, right? And pain you should be from bring forth children. All right, his desire should be for your husband. He should rule over you, which is man rule over a woman, as opposed to, as we just seen with the Akhenaten and Nefertiti, where man and women both have a position of authority and divine consciousness together. All right, so the land has been cursed, and this is just Genesis 3. So this all proves that this is all about justifying the occupying these lands and the diaspora of the people. And our people left these monuments here, right here where God had created the land bridge. No, it is not a movie where they simply made the rivers divide. Come on, people, come on. This is the bridge where people can walk between the two great seas. The only divide. You have to have special maps, special knowledge to be able to get through all this terrain to get to this special place. So that's the reason why the pyramids is there, so that you can see them from miles away and you can navigate towards this region and find your way past unto the Exodus, where all the earth, if you had any problems, you had any wars, any issues, you can get out and go into more unconquered land. So there was a mass migration of African people all over the world, and then there was also a mass migration of people that were of fair skin, the Mongols, right, up in here, Mongolia, right, the Huns, all right, the Spartans, here go the Huns down up in here, right, the Khazarians, right, the Caucasians, right. So the Genghis Khan, the Goths coming all up through here. So there is a world progression going on that is wonderful, and this is what we're exploring. We're not trying to demonize or isolate people. I don't believe in that. I believe that just we need to have a greater understanding of our history, so that we can have a better hold, a better grip of our future. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the story. I hope I brought light, shed light. Ask anybody about these details. If they can't give you these details, then are they really reading them? Maybe you need to go and give them these details and be a part of spreading the truth. So, good luck. God bless. Until the next episode. Peace.